And welcome. Good morning. How is everybody out there? What's happening? What are you guys doing? What's happening? So I'm a few minutes late to make the coffee, but also was having a few technical difficulties. We are judged by when things are not going smoothly, not by when things are going smoothly. We can all pull it off when things are going smoothly, but when things are not going smoothly, this was minor technical details. My webcam decided that it didn't want to activate its software, so I looked all like super blown out and like just like an overexposed mess. So I had to restart and all that crap. It's always something, isn't it? It's always going to be something. So you have to be ready and assume that it's always going to be something. And this plays into guitar land. It's always something. So we just proceed. We move on. We handle it all in stride, don't we? What else? I was listening to Los Angeles terrestrial rock radio KLOS this morning. They have a show on called Breakfast with the Beatles every week, and I heard Mr. Lawrence Gilbert playing some beautiful arrangements of Beatles material on acoustic guitar on the way. So that was nice. That was pretty nice. Sounded really good. Ben Coons is debating about going out for pizza later. I don't think there should be any debate. That sounds like a Sunday thing that you should just turn into a tradition. You know, most definitely. Nerd Halen's in the house. What's up, man? Yeah. And what's happening here? We got a question from Julio about Floyd Rose original versus Schaller versus Godot. What do you guys think? I don't know. There's all these like like FU tone and upgrades and all that kind of stuff. I'm sort of in the the Floyd, the original always worked great. I've got a Godot on my, I've got an original on my black kind of Partsacaster guitar that is from the 80s. And it's got, I believe it's got the wood screws. Where's that guitar? Yeah, it's over here in the corner, living in the corner for a while now. Let's take a look at the original, where it all started. Yes, this is the wood screws into the hard ash body. This is always a fun guitar, right? So there's a good old 80s Floyd, and you can see the original screws there, wood screws going in the body, flush mounted, all that good stuff. And I don't know, I always like that. I like the, it worked great from back in the day. I don't know. I've got a Godot on my Sir Modern, and it works great as well. This guitar looks like this on the back, so I'm just going to put it on the floor because what's the worst that can happen? I don't know. What do you guys think? Blocks and all that. You can do all those upgrades. I mean, that thing's got the original block on it. I don't know. I just never got into all that stuff because I'm actually not like a Floyd Rose aficionado user on my main instrument. I use that Wilkinson bridge. I like the Floyd Rose. It's just different. You guys know what I mean. There's the quirks about it, and you're cutting the ball ends, and they always sound a little different than the stock bridge and stuff. But I still love them, like on nostalgia. I had a lot of guitars with Floyds. I had a Kramer Pacer. That might have been my first guitar with a real Floyd. It was really cool. It was a Blue Burst single humbucker Kramer Pacer. My memory of that guitar is that it had I'm pretty sure it had the hockey stick headstock on it, but it was a weird transitional Pacer, almost like it got like a Beretta neck or something. But it had the Pacer body, volume tone, three-way switch where you could select humbucking, split coil, and parallel options and it came with a Schaller humbucker that was like stock. I wish I still had that guitar. That was one I sold in the 80s that I wish I'd never gotten rid of. It was really cool and weird and kind of like almost like they'd pieced it together, because most of those guitars, those Pacers, would have had the Kramer sort of similar to Sir, beak headstock or whatever, like you'd see on Eddie's guitars around 82. So that was a really cool guitar. It had a chrome Floyd on it. And I think that was my first guitar with a Floyd. Then I had a Hamer Chaparral, which was like a 24 3/4 mahogany body, maple neck shredder, glue-in maple neck, kind of an interesting guitar. It had a Floyd that was always problematic for me because it was mounted very high off the body. And I still remember that guitar kind of being difficult for me to play because of the height of the bridge off the body. It was very Gibson in its, 24 3/4, the mahogany body and all that. And the height was like, I hadn't developed the ability to get around that yet. So that, I think, was probably my second guitar with a Floyd. And then after that, got my Jackson. It's got original Floyd on it. But by then they were doing the inserts, I think, into the body with the different screws. It was 86 or 87 when that guitar was probably made. Charvel Model 3 that had a Floyd. Then I had another Charvel that had a Floyd. Oh, Jackson. It was a Jackson, actually, that I totally buggered up. Man, I screwed up that guitar. That guitar was cool. And it was like a 80s, it had a Charvel neck. And then I swapped it out for a Jackson neck that had an ebony board, and the board was bowed back. The neck was bowing backwards a little bit. And I remember getting a tech to steam it in an attempt, and it loosened the board. It was a mess. I should have left the original neck on it. Really stupid. But I sold the neck to a friend of mine who probably still has it, I think. My friend Mike Martin in Canada. And he built a body. Like back then we were doing all this crazy stuff, switching necks. It wasn't uncommon that we would take apart these guitars and do things. But I'm remembering that guitar. He built a body, and I think it was out of like bird's eye maple or something, and had it stained. So it's like a natural finish bird's eye kind of dinky style Charvel body. I think it was hum single. He bought a gold hardware, like gold Floyd is my memory of it. And he took that old Charvel neck of mine, which was the hockey stick headstock Charvel, but from, mid 80s. An American Charvel neck, really nice, that great neck. And he's probably still got that guitar, I think. I have to ask him about that guitar because it was kind of cool what he did with it. Anyways, a bunch of Floyd Roses came to me over the years and stuff. And that's that story. Plexico, what's up? Regarding Strats. Is it romanticism that makes vintage Strats desirable versus a Fender custom shop Strat? I have one, so I don't claim to be an expert. I have a 64. It's a beautiful sounding guitar. Sir sort of feels like any differences must be in the bridge. If there's any differences between what they're doing now and what they were doing then. He feels like it's the bridge and the alloys and stuff. And it's interesting. Trev Wilkinson made a bridge recently that is a vintage style bridge with a very accurate vintage style block and stuff. And I guess this has been attempted before, but Sir got it, built a guitar. It's a Classic S. It's a beautiful guitar. And that bridge does sound great on that guitar, I will say. And it's such a nice guitar, that one. It's Olympic white. And they're just using it as kind of like a test bed for this bridge. It's got a beautiful neck on it. It's a really nice guitar. I don't know. The bridge just sounded great that Trev made in an attempt to, alloy-wise and everything, the block and the saddles. I think the attempt was to make it just like an original from the 50s and 60s. You would think that there wouldn't be that much difference, but I don't know. I mean, my vintage Strat does sound really cool. It's got a great resonance to it acoustically, a warmth and clarity and depth to it that is just really nice. They didn't all sound amazing, but for sure there's something to that. I think Fender Custom Shop does a nice job. I've picked up many that seem really resonant, and you're gonna find. I remember Steve Vai doing the song "The Boy from Seattle," I believe it's called, on one of his records. And I distinctly remember that when he did that song, he went on a hunt for because it's kind of a Hendrixy sort of clean, sort of vibe. That was the vibe of the tune, sort of an ode to, almost like my song Homage, it's like an ode to, a sort of style or player. So anyways, he, in interviews, stated that he went on a hunt for vintage Strats, and he played a gajillion of them, and ended up with a 73, I think. He was like, yeah, you wouldn't think it'd be like the one that had that sound, but it just had the resonance and the sound, the pickups and the whole 9 yards. Was this 73 that he found, and that's what he ended up playing that song on. So I think that's right. I'm not misquoting, but as I remember reading the interview, that's that. So you're going to find great new guitars. You're going to find dog new guitars. You're going to find great old guitars. You're going to find dog old guitars, you know. But when you find a good old one, it does seem there's something neat about them, you know. Byron says, great review on the Victory Sheriff V4. Thanks. I didn't actually put out a video this week, and the reason is because I've made a couple videos, but I just had to wait for it's when I made a video in conjunction with Guitar World as a review, and when I do that, I have to schedule it with them to release. So I can't. My normal thing is I make a video and it comes out like 20 minutes later, but I can't do that with them. I have to schedule it with them. So I spent some time on that, but it is kind of a cool video. So it'll be out this week, I think. They sent me this guitar to do a review of, and actually the first one, I will say, the first one I got had some issues, so I had them send me another one because it was a problem. It's an acoustic guitar, and I knew it was an inexpensive acoustic guitar, but I didn't realize just how inexpensive it was. So anyway, I got the other one. I pulled it out of the case. I go, oh, this is more like it. Okay, this one sounds good. The other one, I think it had maybe been passed around a little bit and was for reviews and things that had old strings. I was like, this isn't really up to snuff. That's my honest, like, you know, and I hit as I do, so that, you know, when I get something and I'm like, I can't do this, I won't do it. And so I didn't do it. And they were like, we'll send you another one. We'll send you another one. I'm like, okay. And so they sent me another one, and it was good. It was like, pull it out of the case, tuned it up, but it was obviously kind of an inexpensive guitar. And I was like, this isn't, there was part of me that was like, this isn't really what I do. Like, I'm sort of like the high end, you know, like pedals and what, I mean, I do, you know, things that are, but you know what I mean? You get a guitar, like I'm known for playing Sirs and like whatever, right? Like we're guitar geeks here. This is what we do. I don't really do like the, you know, first act guitar or whatever. But then I thought, I got the guitar and I set it up. I didn't set it up, but I did a little truss rod adjustment on it, basically tuned it up, and I went, you know what? This guitar actually sounds really good, and it plays good, actually. Like, now that I just had to tighten the rod a little bit, plays good, sounds good. Let me go see how much this guitar actually is. And I went and looked online, and it was $159. So I thought, oh, okay, this is actually like a cool angle for a video from me. Can I make music on something that's under $200? It's like $159. I think my first guitar cost like $189 in 1981. So, you know, the fact that you can get a guitar now that's $159, it's a pretty damn nice guitar, I must say. So that'll be coming out this week. And that's that whole saga and why I didn't get the video out this week, but it was just a little bit of a saga, but it ended up coming out really good, I think. So that's done. And then I'm doing a video right now for this pedal. This is from my friend Sean Tubbs and the folks at Rev. It's an overdrive and boost with 2 independent sides. And this pedal is really nice. It sounds really good. And it's highly tweakable. The boost side quite unique in its ability. This 3-way toggle here is a bass cut. So there's a normal position, which is flat. There's a mild bass cut, and then a more severe bass cut if you're, say, boosting into a amp with a lot of bass and you don't want to flub it up when you hit the front end with gain, right? There's a boost level control, and then there's also this tilt control, which is quite interesting. It's almost like a mid-range contour, where as you turn it down, it kind of scoops mids and you hear more top end and clarity, and it kind of, you know, makes the tone thinner. You could almost turn a humbucker into a single coil type sound or something with it. But as you turn it up, it sort of fattens the low mids and the highs become less apparent, and it's got, you know, so you can find your kind of how fat you want the boost to be, in many ways, the lows, and then also kind of the low through mids in a very broad sense. And then on the overdrive side, it's got bass and treble, gain and volume, and the overdrive sounds quite nice. I wouldn't say it's martially. I would say it's more like that Nashville-y kind of smooth, you know, just sort of very, not like a Marshall in a box, more like the smooth, maybe cranked up Fendery sort of overdrive. So I did a track that I was really happy with, actually, and I just need to finish editing the video for that. So that'll be out this week. So there'll be a couple coming out early in the week. So sorry for my lack of output this week. But I have been working, I swear. All right. What else we got? Let's see. Jay says that he had an early Kramer and had to shim the neck for the Floyd to work right. I find that with guitars now. You know, sometimes they just need shims. to work right, and other times they don't. Other times they'll just work. But wow, this is wild. I never heard this story. Tony says, have you seen Big Rex tour bus catching fire and the driver managed to detach the trailer and saved all their gear? That's wild. So I assume nobody was on the bus, probably, right? That's terrible. Wow. But at least nobody was hurt, right? Tour bus can always be replaced. That is actually a good segue, and we can ask him into. I've talked to Ian this week, and he's going to be a guest on the show. So I will have him here, in theory, next week. But I'm going to confirm with him midweek that that time's good and everything like that, and I'll put up the watch page good and early, probably by Wednesday. So Ian Thornley will be here, and we can talk to him. We can ask him about that incident. For those of you that have never seen a show with Ian, like one of these style shows, or he's a lot of fun, and he's a great interview and a great he's just a great guy to chat. I mean, he's just a cool Canadian, and who plays and writes and sings like that. Nobody else on earth except for him. So I'm really happy about that. It's going to be a great show. And what else? Let's see. My niece Hurt says he's been playing acoustic fingerstyle the last few weeks, taking a break from electric. It's nice, isn't it? Sometimes, classical guitar, acoustic fingerstyle, steel string. That's what I was hearing Lawrence Gilbert play this morning on the radio on KLOS, playing Beatles songs. It's nice to just. I play very little fingerstyle acoustic, and sometimes I think, maybe for the next, wouldn't it be cool for a month to just learn a bunch of cool pieces that you could bust out at any opportunity and play on fingerstyle acoustic, just practice acoustic and do that, listen to some Tommy Emmanuel and, go to town. Okay, here's a comment about the Floyd Rose blocks. A big brass block makes a big difference, a lot more sustain. Interesting. That kind of makes sense, I've just never experimented with them. John says that he likes them. All you Floyd guys, you educate me. I just use them as they come, on the guitars. I've never changed a block or anything, or saddles, or experimented. Chris says, how much does the tone change when the paint is stripped off a guitar body? I mean, I don't know. I've never done it and A/B'd, so it would actually be an interesting video, I would think, to do that. But I kind of don't worry about it too much. I don't, I think that guitars, especially these days, if you've got a Sir or you've got a custom shop vendor that's got a thin lacquer finish and all that, it's not making that much of a difference, the finish. Maybe if they used a goop on poly back in the day or whatever, maybe that's not great, but the whole thing is, back then the guitars were also kind of, let's take a Fender from like the late 70s or something. A lot of them were made out of really heavy, multi-piece bodies that, there was, if you're getting a modern guitar that's like a, nice light or average, weight piece of wood that's a 1-piece or 2-piece body or something, and then the finishes also happens to be like, they thought about it, thin urethane, like whatever. They're not just bean counters making the guitars. The guitars tend to sound better. So I think the finish is kind of the least of my, I don't really think it's gonna kill the, especially not a modern finish. It's going to be fine. I feel like, John Sir is kind of sensitive and thinks about these things, and he thinks his thin, real durable urethane is the best finish they make, those guitars too. I will say one thing: if you like your guitars to say looking new, like my signature models that have the, they're just the standard Sir urethane kind of paint, and the way that they do them, I mean, the finish lasts forever. I mean, it's like the back of those guitars, after touring and stuff, belt buckles and stuff, there'll be some minor, you can see some minor, whatever you want to call it, haze on the back from that, as opposed to a nitro finish that'll just wear right through. You'll see a little bit of, and then you could buff it out. I mean, it would look like a brand new guitar, I think. I'm pretty sure. So they're so durable. Let's see here. For Charvel Pro Mod DK Dinky. 24, made in Mexico. Thinking Thornbucker Plus. I'd go for the Plus. I like the Thornbucker just fine in Les Pauls and in Gibson scale guitars and mahogany guitars. And if you want a lower wind kind of, true PAF, bluesy kind of pickup. But in a shredder guitar like that, you're going to want the little bit of extra heat and probably, the F space, 53 millimeter is the one you're going to want. And I would just go for the Thornbucker Plus. It just gives you a little more mids, a little more push, a little more what you're going to want in a guitar like that, I think. Yep. Let's see here from Dublin, Ireland. Love the show. Thanks for taking the time to do it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for tuning in. Good times. Okay, let's see. What are my thoughts on Yngwie Malmsteen's overdrive pedal? Have you tried it? So it's basically a DoD 250, I do believe, which was kind of a low gain, adding an extra grind to the. I like them. I always thought it was a good sound, the DoD 250. I've never AB'd a 250 directly with, let's say, a super overdrive, a Boss. But my impression is they sound a little more. They might not bass cut as much as like a, like an OD1 or an SD type from Boss, which kind of tends to lop off a fair amount of low end, which is cool, especially with humbuckers. But maybe the reason Yngwie like the OD 250, maybe I'm speculating a little bit here because I have to. It's been a long time since I've played with one, but I should plug one in. I can probably find one around here in this general vicinity somewhere. Try it out. My impression of them is they're a natural sounding overdrive that I think that they probably don't do as much of the low cut mid hump thing that a tube screamer does. I seem to remember them sounding more like just kind of a natural grind on top of the Marshall, and that seemed to work well with his singles, I guess. So that's my memory of it. Our tone memory is a funny thing. I could go back and plug it in and go, oh, it does lop off a lot of bass, actually. But that's not how I remember it. I just remember it as being like kind of natural sounding. Any comment on the next rumored mini head coming out? I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm making a video. I am actually making a video. That is happening. That's all I'll say, because I shouldn't comment on things that, you know what I mean. How was it playing with the legend Mateus Asado? He is a bit of a legend, isn't he, at his young age? He's amazing, man. He's just very musical and sweet guy. Yeah, he's terrifying on guitar, He's just very his phrasing and his, he's deep. He's a deep musician. He's a real like his if you've watched the show that I did it was years ago that Tim and me did a show with Mateus, but he was nervous that day, I remember, because I do believe it was the first interview that he'd done in English, like a video thing. And he was great, of course, but he was kind of hesitant about, I think because it was just the first time that he'd done anything on video, speaking purely in English, too. And he was I remember him saying that his road to Hendrix and guitarists like that and Steve Ray Vaughan, he had no awareness of them. I remember him saying that his road to that was John Mayer, and I found that really interesting because of this generation gap between us and, that I believe John Mayer did a great service to guitar, and, he's a great guitar player himself, I think, but he also was that bridge for a lot of younger players. Older players are like, oh, John Mayer, a lot of people will be critical of him or something. I don't know why he's, but because I think he's really good. But he was, in the early 2000s, if you were starting to play guitar, let's say you were born post 1990, so you were picking up the guitar in the early you were 14, 15 years old in 2005. John Mayer was the catalyst for a lot of guys. And he was also the guy that, they took what he did, I think, like players like Mateus, and then that whole sort of neo soul, bluesy, soulful, sort of thing, I think they just sort of supercharged it off of Mayer's influence, and then that's what you see Mateus, and also Mateus being Brazilian. And there's I've been to Brazil a few times. There's a real interesting, healthy, the art there is a big deal. Music's a big deal. And I think that just seeps into his playing as well. It's a very musical country, I think. And so he's kind of a fascinating combination of a bunch of different things. But also one of the most interesting things that he talked about was that he was going to, I think, go to med school. I think that's right. He was going to become a doctor, and his father, I should say, was kind of pushing him that way. I think I seem to remember him saying this in the interview, and that he had kind of given up on doing music professionally. And then a friend of his, there was some contest. I don't know if it was online or in a guitar magazine or something, but his friend convinced him to enter this contest. And it was, submit probably a video or something of your playing and that kind of thing. And, thousands of people entered this contest, and he thought, oh, okay, I'll just do it. He kind of like wasn't even playing that much, I think. And then he submits this video and he wins. Out of like thousands and thousands of guitar players. And he was like, okay, maybe I should think about this guitar thing more. And it's a fascinating story, could have, how many guys is there out there like that, that maybe didn't do it, I was there for a minute. I mean, when I was 17, 18, I was faltering, wavering, not faltering, but wavering. I thought about going to, maybe let's go to university. I don't know about this playing guitar for a living thing. There's a lot of voices, and they mean well. It could be your parents or family or whatever. But if you're in a place where it, like, you're going to do what? You're going to be a musician? That's weird. Like, no, you're not. You're going to go to college. That's still a thing, I think, and maybe less so now. That you can become like a freaking TikTok star or whatever from anywhere in the world. And the world's. You don't necessarily have to move to Los Angeles anymore to all of a sudden become. I mean, Mateus did it using Instagram, right? Became very well known. So, but anyways, how many players is there out there like that are unbelievable, but maybe are working at AutoZone or something? It's interesting. Anyways, Arthur says, as a kid, the metal thing, there was a clear line in the sand. Either you were into Eddie or Randy. I was definitely a Randy guitar guy. These days, I love them both equally. Yeah, I seem to remember that. That it was like a bit of a rivalry thing. But yeah, I guess that's normal, that, it's almost like everything becomes sports when you're a kid and you want to, this is better than that, and that's better than this, and, But I don't remember feeling that way about it. I remember being more of a Van Halen guy always, but always appreciating Randy and loving, Ozzy and like that music and Sabbath. And it was just the Van Halen was the top of the peak for me, just as it kind of resonated with me musically, and that. I always appreciated Randy though, and I thought he was cool. He just had this like real like raw, cool, like Randy watching him play. He's just like I don't know. The music was obviously Van Halen was kind of more fun and kind of like a party. Ozzy and Randy was darker and that kind of like it just looked like he was like, playing the guitar and like. Ozzy pick him up. It's like it had this more like aggressive edge or something. Van Halen was aggressive, but he was always smiling, so it was always a party. When you smile all the time, it's different, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, let's see. Jeff says Mayer brought tasty guitar playing. Yeah, I think he did kind of bring some like tasty phrasing. Guitar in the context of songs, solos. I mean, there was when Mayer came out, there wasn't a lot of solos going on yet. Shred hadn't come back. Nowadays, now you get the whole like, with Gent and bands like Polyphia and stuff like that. That all happened 2016, 17. You started seeing like, well, what's this again? I guess we're far enough away from the 80s that it's getting reinvented or not reinvented, but like reimagined in a way where like people aren't totally are not afraid of guitar solos and tapping and crazy guitar antics and stuff again. Because in 2003, 4, or 5, when Mayer was becoming popular, that was not the case. A solo was still something that I made a number of records back then. I remember it was just like solos. Like, you didn't do solos. Like 40-Foot Echo, it was like the solos on that record are really sort of boring. I mean, it's like I got maybe one or two. There was a song called was it Tomorrow or something on the 40-Foot Echo album that had like there was one solo that I got on the whole record where I kind of played something that was like, blues based kind of. Other than that, it was like copying the melody, and that was what you had to do. So when Mayer came along, I sort of once again like, okay, he's playing solos, like melodic kind of, like that's cool. And it wasn't in that shreddy context at all with, Marshall distortion and stuff. It took a long time for that to even be a thing that you could do. Literally, it was like you couldn't do it. Like producers would be like, no, don't play a solo, And you'd get laughed at if you. Okay. What's this? Let's see here. No question is dumb on this show. Do you route your studio monitors so your right master output goes to the right side from your perspective? Yes, that's right. From your perspective. So for me, right is over there. That's correct. Yeah, it's like when you're looking at your monitors. That's not a dumb question. It's totally valid. Any chance the Tim and Pete show will come back? Well, we're going to hang a little bit coming up soon, so we will see if we can do some stuff together. I would love to. I think so. DoD 308 Malmsteen has a smaller input capacitor than the stock pedal. My guess is that it's to keep the neck pickup sounds from being muddy. So you're saying they shrunk the bass a little bit on it. That's interesting. Maybe he requested that in his specific pedal. I haven't tried his. I thought it was a straight up DoD 250, but I'll give it a try one of these days and check it out. I really liked when Marshall brought out the Yngwie head. It was a full size 100-watt plexi basically, but with a DoD 250 built in. I believe it might have had a gate too or something, but cool amp. Had an attenuation thing built in too. Maybe it was power scaling or something. I can't remember. And then they discontinued it. It's like, I guess discontinue it. It's like cool amp, like, plexi that's usable with an overdrive built in, some neat stuff. Yeah, Duncan custom bridge and DiMarzio Aaron Norton neck to put on my Charvel. I like customs. It's that warm 14K Van Halen-y, later Van Halen-y thing. And the Aaron Norton I don't know much about, but I know that it's supposed to be kind of. Is the Aaron Norton the one that's similar to the pickups that went in the original Axis? Maybe. I think. The original Murray Ball Axis, Eddie Van Halen signature guitars. I don't know much about that pickup, but I know they're supposed to sound kind of, like clarity and stuff like that in the neck, I think, was the idea. Custom's going to be warm, hot, smooth on the top. So I got one when they first came out of custom. I moved away from the Alnico 2 thing for the most part, like for a long, long time, and now I like them again. Sean Guitar says, watch Jim Lill on YouTube blow all the theories about Tonewood's way. What does that mean? If he's an anti-Tonewood guy, then I'm not for that. I've got a video on YouTube too. Watch my video that I did for Vintage King, where I compare identical Sir models, but that have different woods, and tell me you can't hear the difference between the woods. If this is an anti-Tonewood thing, you can totally hear the difference. Wood definitely affects the sound. Of guitars. Maybe not in the way some people think it would or to the degree, but it does. And, guys, Sir is, I'm just going to default to him when it comes to things like this because he knows, everybody else doesn't. If they say, you know what I mean? He's John Sir. So, it's like you don't need to look any further. You can just ask him what happens, It's like not even an open for discussion thing. I don't think, well, that's just your opinion. No, it's like when you've been doing something your entire life and you're completely anal retentive about it, you're an expert in it. You know, it's like, what's the right way to, you know, extract a tooth? Well, this guy says it's like this, but this other guy that's extracted like 45,000 teeth over here that's done it for 50 years. Well, that's just his opinion on how to. I'd probably go with the guy that's extracted 45,000 teeth, you know, and, you know, has a. I know there was a super chat there. I'm going to get that one, the $5 one. I didn't miss it. I'm going to get it in just a second. I promise. Thoughts on Evh 5150 guitars? Just got one in slime green. Yeah, that you just summed up my thoughts on them. 48-year-old me giving into my inner 13-year-old is kind of how I feel about it. You look at it, it's fun. It makes you happy, right? I mean, I have you know, Frankenstein, the made in Mexico one here, not the $25,000 one, but, you know, you guys have seen me use it. Every time I look at it, it makes me happy, you know? And to boot, it's a fun guitar. They're not like, you know, like it's not a Fender custom shop or you know, Sir or something, but it's a I mean, neither was Eddie's. Eddie's was a pieced together piece of crap by all measures, you know, by everybody that I've ever heard that's played it was like, yeah, it was a mess, like, you know, and so, you know, the EVH was probably a far better made guitar, you know, than his original was, the ones you can get now. And they're just fine. They've got a nice fast playing neck, and the pickup sounds good, and they're fun to play Van Halen songs on. And they're you know, they're designed to make guys like you and me happy, I think. So that's cool. All right. So what vocal mic do you know is the best full range with superior feedback rejection? Well, okay, so you're talking about a live vocal mic, I would say, right? You're going to want something with a tight hypercardioid pickup pattern. So look at the pickup pattern, and, you know, generally if it's, a lot of them are designed to have superior feedback rejection, and they will say so in their advertising copy. You know, this has a tight hypercardioid pattern for superior feedback rejection. I should have been in marketing. I guess I am. But I would say I'm not an expert in, you know, live vocal mics these days of what is, you know, but you know, obviously you've got your standard Shure 58s out there and stuff. Like something like a Beta 87, or a Beta, I guess the Beta 58, the pickup pattern, I can't remember if it's different than a regular 58, but look at those and look at specifically what they say about the pickup pattern. I know Beta 87 is like real high gain because they're actually condensers, and they are, you know, they got a lot of clarity because of their condenser mic, and I think they have a very tight pickup pattern as well for feedback rejection. So look at those, and then look at the competitors, you know, stuff from, you know, Audio-Technica and you know, all the other companies out there that it all comes down to that pickup pattern. Doug Murray, have you ever got to play through any Dumble amps? I have, yeah, a few. What were my favorite things about them? Well, it's the same thing I would say that that I heard in other amps that I thought, like when I played Trainwrecks or my first Comet. You know, there seems to be, when you play one that is cool, that is like, I played one in Japan. It was a combo with an EV, I think, and it was an overdrive special combo. And it was really cool. And it was just like I gotta remember, it was a very hot Japanese summer day. And I was like in shorts and a t-shirt, and I went down to Cruise in or Hoochie's. I never knew if it was called Cruise or Hoochie's. It's a store in Shibuya with really nice guitars and amps and pedals and stuff. And they're down in the basement. I was like, I bet it's cool down there. And I walked from my hotel over there and went in there because it was like, I was just like, I needed a break from the heat. And the guy's like, oh, I got this Dumble in the other room. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. Let's check it out. And we went in there and cranked it up real loud. And I was playing my shorts and an old Strat or something through this Dumble and going like, okay, this sounds really good. It's cool. Like what I was saying earlier was that you get the impression that from your hands to the speaker, there's a very short path. There's an immediacy, and it just seems to respond and do things that, you know, you don't feel like there's a bunch of stuff in the middle, or like you're lacking in dynamics and attack, and, you know, all the harmonics and all that stuff. It was cool. Like, and I remember having the first time I played a Comet Concord was kind of like that. I turned it on, turned it up, and I hit one note and it went it just started taking off into feedback, and I was like, oh wow, that's cool, you know. And it was like a very special sounding amplifier, I thought. So I feel that way about the Jim Kelly. You know, yeah. I got another super chat or a couple there I got to get to. I will do that in just a sec. Anyone have tips on shims for Floyd nut? I think probably Stu Mac is your jam. Go there and look. They generally make those aluminum ones that kind of, you can get them in various ones and build them up. I seem to remember using 1, 2, 3 of these aluminum shims that you could get and put it under the nut. But I think Stuart McDonald will have that. StuartMcDonald.com, StuMac.com. Should be able to hook you up with some shims to make it all work. T-Top says, great to see your Canadian homie Mario is back in business with Access. That's nice. Yeah, I've never met him. I think we spoke a couple times, but always made great gear, switchers, and cool stuff, and that's good to hear. I didn't know that, but very nice, very nice. Up in the Greater Toronto area, I do believe. And let's see. P.S. Check out Brett Papa's channel. After this, of course, to see some magic with Bukovac, Trap, and Papa. He's a cool guy. I remember when he moved, we got together, Brett, right before he moved to Nashville, and he's been out there for a couple of years now. And we made a video using the aux, I think, and stuff for his channel. But he's a nice guy. Good dude. Who knows? Maybe I'll see him in a few weeks here. I'm going to this Sweetwater event in a few weeks, make some videos and stuff. Maybe he'll be there. Let's see. My niece Hurt says he hasn't been to a dentist in 30 years. You should probably go, dude. You should probably go. I get it. I didn't go for a long time too, but I went recently, and I'll tell you what they told me. I had a cracked filling. So it was cracked in half and half was gone. And who knows how many years it had been like that, He's like, yeah, we got to do something about that. Had no pain, no symptoms. But when he got in there and looked, you got a filling that's cracked in half. And all right. So then I had to get it removed and then a crown and, new whatever they do now and it was not inexpensive and it was painful. But I hit him up, but it's fine now. I don't feel it anymore, but it did take a year. I'm probably not convincing you to go here, but it took about a year to not feel anything on that side anymore. And he told me, he said, if it never goes away, like after a long period of time, we will go in and take it out and we might have to do, root canal and stuff like that. Well, that didn't happen. It eventually the pain wasn't even pain. It was more like sensitivity on that side after they put a temporary on, took it off. I went back 2 weeks later after they made the permanent because they had to mold it or whatever, put that permanent one on. And then I was having I needed 3 full-on shots of Novocaine in that side, and I could still feel it when they were putting on it was like crazy. And he's like, yeah, your nerves just really angry. Sorry, And anyway, did it, had sensitivity on that side for about going on a good solid year. And then it finally went away. And he said, it's just that nerve needs to die down, And I wrote him an email after about a month. And I said, I never had any problems. I didn't go to the dentist for years. And everybody says you should go. And then I go and I get this thing done. And now I feel this thing all the time. And I was like, I'm just kind of like bummed out. I told him I was like a little bit of an unhappy customer. He had great reviews and everything. He's like, I know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you, your tooth was cracked also on that side. And he said, it's ready to disintegrate. Like at any given time, you could eat something, bite down, and your tooth will just crumble. And then you're looking at an implant and everything. That's the next level. So we need to stabilize. We needed to stabilize it. It's something you need to do. I understand. He was very sympathetic. And then eventually now I don't feel it anymore at all. So I think in the end, he was right, but imagine the scenario that I just laid out, like the tooth had just blown out one day, and then that would have been awful. So you got to go, and not only that, just for the routine cleanings and stuff like that. Because as you get older, I don't think you're a young man like me. We're not young men. You got to take care of them because it just goes downhill. Otherwise, you get the receding and all that crap, and then eventually we end up losing them. This is old man stuff. All the Gen Z and millennials and stuff here. You got a while before you worry about this garbage. How did we get into dentistry on the show? That's a place we've never been in 221 episodes. I'm looking through the chat here, see what else we got. Watched John Mayer's interview when he played Eric Clapton's Crossroads concert. He talks about the connection to the past guitar players. Yeah, that's cool. I should check that out. I haven't seen that particular interview, but obviously John Mayer, big Stevie Ray Vaughan guy, probably found Eric and Hendrix and stuff through Stevie, I bet. So then you get Mateus finding Stevie and through you know what I'm saying, like that. It's you pay it forward, right? I guess. Yeah. Dying to see your Wolfgang close up. Never seen such a great finish on one. What's the story? It is a beautiful one. I don't think I'll show it to you. I don't think it's uncommon for ones of this era. They did a beautiful job on these, and I think they were like trying to, it was Eddie coming out with his own line of, this is the first, right, when EVH came out. So I think he wanted to up the game and, see if they could go beyond even what PV had done and certainly at least, up to the Axis standards and stuff like that. And it is just a really pretty quilt top. It's a, pretty wild looking. I haven't played this guitar very much recently, and I really like this guitar, and I should. I think what I would like to do with this guitar is have it refretted, because it's got the tiny frets that they were doing at the time. It's stainless steel, and they're very small, and that's part of my, it's not a big neck, and then it's got these small frets on it. It's supposedly, on the original Axis, they'd modeled the neck off of his Kramer. But I imagine it probably shifted over the years. Boy, this guitar feels good right now, though. Great guitar. And this has a, Floyd on it. This is one of my other ones. I guess I have maybe 4 or 5 guitars with Floyds, something like that. Anyway, a terrific guitar that I'll always keep this, because this was given to me by Ed and Matt. So back in the day, many years ago. Many years ago. Yep. Okay. Let's go down to the bottom of the chat here. Let's see. Bird's eye neck. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got bird's eye. Separate fingerboard on that, I think. And I think the back isn't as figured as the fingerboard. But yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Nathan here says he found Hendrix through Mayer. Watched a video of him when he was 9, playing Voodoo Child at Red Rocks, and started to appreciate. That's cool. Interesting. Yeah, I found Hendrix through Stevie. So, I always, I loved Stevie. I mean, that was right when I was starting to play guitars. He was becoming very popular, and so that was my route. But are you going to NAMM? Yes, I will be there hanging out and stuff. So if you're around, maybe you'll run into me. I'm gonna check it out, see what it's like. I hope it's good. I hope it's not a drag. Ooh, sucks this year. I hope it's not like that. Maybe it'll be fun. A little smaller. Maybe that's not a bad thing, How organized are you able to be? Not very. To be able to do sessions, perform YouTube videos. I'm not the most organized person, man. I mean, when I honestly, when I do the when I get a job and it's a big deal or whatever, like a gig that that I take it very seriously, and I'm able to prioritize, but everything else kind of falls by the wayside, and I generally let other things slide. But sometimes you have to do that in life, when you've got something that's priority. I'm not the best at it's not like I've got a schedule or a book that I'm looking in from this hour to this hour. I'm going to do this. Some people are really great at that, and it's just not my bag. But somehow I get things done, I guess. you know. And as I get older, I'm also not so hard on myself about like in this business, as you make your way, and if things go well and you achieve some measure of success and things, it's always a balance of like people are going to push you to do things, and you're always going to feel like you have to, as a musician, work as hard as you can, stay on top of the game, and if I got to take every gig I can, and I got to, you do that for like a number of years, and then when you get to be a little bit older, you're like, maybe I don't feel like doing that quite as much. You just kind of like I'm gonna take my foot off the gas a little bit and just smell the roses, and I'm gonna go to the beach today and ride my bike because that's what I feel like doing. A little bit more, because you start to realize like people will push you to do things as much as and you'll want to do them, make money, and achieve success and all that, and then like you just kind of want to like take a break every now and then, and I guess I've gotten to that point where I'm a little bit I feel like when you get up to 50 or something, you should like, it's like, well, okay, what's all of this for? What's it all about and everything? You just start to question all that, and just balance a bit more, and it's not that, like, they say when you're on your deathbed or whatever, you're not going to regret like that, taking the day off to go and smell the roses, so to speak, or whatever. You're not going to wish you'd worked really hard that one more day in your life on making a pedal demo necessarily, but you got to balance it. That's all I'm saying, because I really appreciate doing it, and I love my work. So it's all a balance. John says ideal angle for a 2-post floating Strat trim. It depends what you want to do. I mean, the original 1954 patent drawings of a Strat, if you look at them, they have the bridge angled quite far forward. And it's interesting because that's the way I set up my old Strat. And, you can do it. On my signature guitar, I'll do it so the bridge is basically flush but leaning forward just a little bit. And that seems to get me a half step on the second string pull up, and then it'll hit the body, and about a whole step on the G string. And so I set it up about like that. I want to be able to go up a full whole step on the G and about a half step on the B when I pull up on the bar. And that's kind of where I like that bridge. So Cooper says, wait till you hit 65. No, I'm sure. I'm sure when you hit 65, it's probably, what's it all for? I wonder that all the time. Watch The Meaning of Life by Monty Python. It'll spell it all out for you. When I get to the end, it's like, oh, well, be nice to people. That's about all it's for. But anyways, who's your current mentor and protege? Oh, geez. My current mentor. That's a great question. It's, I have a great therapist / life coach. I guess it's him. He's got a great approach to things. It's not anybody involved in music, so yeah, let's see what else we got here. 400 online. Ryan says, push that thumbs up. Thanks, Ryan. Great to always see you. Ryan always is here and leaves me nice comments and stuff. I appreciate you, bud. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Oh, is it Ben's birthday today? Ben Coombs. Really? Ben, go for pizza later. Definitely. Go have a big pizza and have a beer and, have a nice day. Happy birthday, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Lauren's always asking me to come by the studio. I will do that one of these days. I watched a video the other day, Lauren. He says, come by and see us, Pete. Aspen Pittman Designs. I saw a video at the studio, and it looks really cool. I mean, it's a very unique studio with all your mic pre's. It's got all the Groove Tubes mic pre's in the racks behind the desk and stuff. It did look really cool. I will make it over there, man. I promise. One of these days. Yeah. Ryan says you have all 3 company EVH guitars, PV, and others. I don't actually. I only have the EVH. I don't own a single Music Man guitar. I think they're very nice, and I use Ernie Ball strings, and they make nice guitars. I just don't have one. I would love to have an original Axis, the EVH model or whatever before it became the Axis. I'd love to have one, but they're very expensive now. That would be really cool. Yeah. Okay. Jamie's has been looking at scalloped fingerboard guitars. Interesting. The Yngwie influence. I scalloped a guitar myself. Late 80s, early 90s, probably 1990. Did I do it in Edmonton or did I do it in LA? I don't remember. It was right around the time I moved. But I had a Strat Plus. It was seafoam green. So if anybody's got a scalloped Strat Plus seafoam green out there, that was probably my guitar with very deep scallops because I did it myself. You think like, yeah, that looks about right, and you've generally gone way too far. That's what I did. I almost lost some inlay and stuff with how far I went with it, and probably compromised the strength of the neck. But I did do it myself with a rasp, and I thought I wanted to be like Yngwie or something, and I sold the guitar. Somebody ended up buying it from me eventually, and I think liked the scallops. So, yeah. Here's a question. I got 9 set of strings, 9 gauge, standard tuning, low action. Use 3 to 4 fingers to bend, and still the tension is too high. For a full bend, I need to apply 1.5 force. Any tips to reduce tension? Maybe you want to move to what kind of guitar do you play? If you're on a 25.5 scale, you could always go to 24 3/4. Like that on a Les Paul should feel pretty slinky. The shorter scale has less tension, generally speaking. It feels different. But beyond that, maybe you just want to, keep practicing bending a lot. For me, sometimes it's like if I move up a gauge, it feels really heavy. But if I was to play it for a while and get used to it, it would start to feel normal. So it could be just what you're working on, what you're practicing. Yeah. All I can think of really, unless you want to go to 8s or 8.5s, I think Ernie Ball might make an 8.5 set. God, I saw the other day they're making a 7 set. I think the low E is like a 36. I don't know if I would go that far. But you can always go to 8s. Some players go to 8s. I mean, it's like, I know folks, I believe it was a guitar player from Dada, great band, great guitar player, and he had tendonitis real bad, unfortunately. And I remember reading that he's like, yeah, I had to go to 8s because just to play, And there's no shame in that, Some people use 8s. So Rory says, isn't the neck compound radius? I think you mean on that EVH guitar. I believe it is. I think it's like 12 to 16 or something. I think it is compound. Rebode says, I watched your Sir Telecaster Tonewoods video. Yeah, it's most apparent on the tellies, isn't it? Anybody who can't hear the difference between those Tonewoods must have Van Gogh's ear for music. Yeah, there's a clear difference between the Alder body and the Swamp Ash body in that video. It's the exact same guitar, same pickups, same everything. So I don't know how much closer you can get. Just the woods are different, and the for those that I would say believe in this sort of thing, even though I think there's nothing to believe in. It's just they sound different. You can hear it acoustically, and it comes through the pickups. So, when you watch that video, the exact difference in sound from Ash to Alder is what you would think and what everybody talks about. Alder has a fuller sort of, real balanced kind of thing, full through the mids, more mid-range. And the Swamp Ash is a little more scooped sounding. It has a little more of an airy thing on the top end, spongy on the lows, and a bit of a scoop in the mids. That's it, So, yeah. What's my opinion about Dimebag? He was a huge EVH fan. He's a monster. I mean, I was never like a big fan like Pantera, but when I wouldn't listen to their music, I was like, well, this is like pretty badass. It's kind of sort of like sounds like Metallica meets Van Halen to me or something. And I mean thrash Metallica, like early Metallica, and his playing is like, I mean, he's ripping, He just had a passion and a love for guitar, I think. That was apparent, kind of one of a kind, Yeah. Jules from Holland, not Jules Holland, but Jules from Holland says, hello. What's happening, Julian? I love Jules Holland. The show. Let's see. Todd Royce says he just put together a Parts-A-Caster Strat clone, Fender aftermarket neck, Chinese made body, other Fender parts, so fun and relaxing to do stuff like that. It is. Putting together guitars is exciting and fun, and like fun. It's always fun, you know. I have a signature Sir, you know, soon to be 2. But I still love the idea of, you know, going online and buying a kit body and neck and putting it all together with some pickup and screwing it together, tuning it up and seeing how it sounds. And it's just fun. I did that stuff from the time I was a kid, you know? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Moving down to the bottom here, there was a super chat. I want to miss that. It's Todd. What's my opinion on the advantages of hardtail strats? Don't use the whammy that much, and I've heard good things. You know, I've heard things. I think Joe Bonamasa's favorite, I think, is a hardtail. It's a different thing for sure, but some people think that the claw and the springs in the back of a tremolo Strat is part of the sound that we think of as Strat, you know. So I don't know. I mean, if you don't use the bar and you love tellies and that kind of, you know, even though the strings on a Strat, you know, still go through the body and all that. It's just a different sound without the trem, you know, the springs with the block and the whole 9 yards. So it's probably, I would say, a little more, how would we say, solid, like a little bit more like a telly, or, you know, a little bit less, like maybe there's a bit more fundamental in the note, you know, which translates to sustain. And for sure the tuning, you mentioned the tuning. I mean, you know, not having a tremolo there, you're going to tend to use it less and you're going to stay in tune better. So for sure. Yeah. What else we got? Let's see here. Reboat says, didn't like using a scallop neck and then picking up normal neck guitars. Yeah, it's a transition for sure. And if you got used to the scallops, it's like having incredibly tall frets or something. You know, it's weird going back and forth. It's weird. Even that's what I was saying about the EVH guitar back there. My you know, one with the smaller frets, that how they used to do them in the early days of the EVH guitars. Going from a small fret to a big, you know, I like them tall, like 6100 size. That's a little weird, you know. It's just, I like big frets. I always have. I've liked big frets since they first came out. I like big frets. I cannot deny all you other blah blah. No, sorry. You know, I just I got used to them, and it was like I knew I liked them. Kind of went to other things in the, you know, 6105s, which are still kind of tall, but they're not as big as 6100. Then when I tried 6100s again in the mid 2000s or something, I was like, why did I ever get away from this? Like, I knew I liked these in like 1987. This was my jam. It's like I wasn't unhappy with them. I just, you know, so it's kind of like Floyd Rose and stuff. Now they're around again. It's like for a long time they weren't, and it was like you move to Gibsons, you're like tuning like 3 times every song. You know, I still love them. I love the sound and all that of Gibsons and everything, but it was like we had this shit solved in like 1985. Like we were in tune for the whole show. You know, so I know other things are important too, you know, Les Pauls and stuff. But anyways, you know, it's funny sometimes how we have it figured out, and then, you know, we move away from things, you know. So would the classic rock show ever play in the US? Yeah, I believe so. That's always, you know, I think been the intention for the last few years. We'll see if it happens, you know. So I don't have any report on that right now, but I know it's been discussed and whatnot. So we will see. Yeah. Guitar Meister von Braun says like 6100s instead of scallop neck. Yeah, it's not quite. I mean, scallop neck is like, you don't feel the wood, you know, it's like it's gone under there, and it's a very unique feeling. But I do like the one thing about scallops, as well as the really big frets, that I do really like is the grip on the neck. Like it feels like your hand is more solid on the strings. And when I've got those little tiny frets, bends feel weird feeling all that wood to me, and I don't feel as though I'm as connected to the string, because you don't push your finger down as much on the string, you know. Now certain people, you know, the tuning was always like, oh yeah, you can't push too hard or else you'll go out of tune. I never really had that issue with either big frets or scallops. Just my touch. I guess I learned how to play on pretty big frets. I mean, when I think about the, you know, by 85 or 86, I had my Jackson. I'd only been playing guitar for 4 or 5 years at that point. And then I did, that was like all my practicing and stuff. I mean, when I got that Jackson that I still have, the big frets, the D-shaped neck, all that modern stuff, fairly flat fingerboard and all that. That was like, this is what I learned how to play guitar on from the time I was 16 until 22, 23. I was playing that Jackson, and like, that was what I was comfortable with. Floyd Rose, Jackson, in tune, big frets, flat radius, all that modern crap, right? So, Fishbulb says he gets the scallops at Outback. Probably bloomin' onion to start. Delicious. I remember being in Japan for about probably 3 months at one point and being like, if anybody out there knows me, I'm a sushi guy. I love Japan. I love Japanese food. And I was just like, this one day I was like, I cannot eat another piece of fish today. I can't do it. I just can't. I need something else. And I went to Outback in Shibuya and got a steak. And it was the best Outback steak I've ever had. It was so good. Salad and steak, and it's just like anything you get in Japan. I mean, if you've ever been to Japan and had McDonald's, it's the best McDonald's you've ever had. It looks like the picture in an ad for a Big Mac. It's just absolutely perfect. And that's anybody out there experience that? A steak in Japan. I mean, first of all, if you go to a high-end steakhouse in Japan, sorry all you vegans out there. I don't eat a lot of red meat, but occasionally, and when I do, I like to go big. And the Wagyu or whatever, in Japan, go to a good high-end steak place and you're just like, this is ridiculous. Losing my mind. It's so good. Oh my God. All right. Mikonra. Sorry. Super chat there. Thanks for the super chat. Pedal for smooth overdrive tone on a Tele for fast picking runs on the neck pickup. I'm in a 3-guitar band and my Marshall in a box is fizzy and with a Tele and gets drowned out. Interesting. You might like this pedal. This is the Sean Tubbs pedal, the Tilt. I've got it plugged in. I'm too lazy to unplug it. But wait, can you see? Tilt. This has a boost built in, and it's also got a very smooth. You mentioned smooth. That's how I would characterize the overdrive side. It's got a bass and a treble, really active EQ, so you can make it work with different amps, volume and gain. And then you got a boost there to kick into that and kick it over the edge. So you might really like this pedal, actually. I would say it's kind of a Nashville vibe, Then so check that out. Brand new pedal from Rev and Mr. Sean Tubbs. He knows tone. Watch his videos. Tube Screamer and turn up the volume, says Big Boss. Yeah, good old Tube Screamer does it pretty well too. My favorite Tube Screamer is the Maxon Apex 808. It's supposed to be the apex of 808 tone. It's on my pedal board. It's really good sounding Tube Screamer. This fella here recommends a Green Rhino. I like that one too. Good old Mr. Trips. It's good stuff. Here's another super chat. Robert, what's up, man? I love E-flat tuning with low tension. Problem is with jamming with others, I can get lost. Is there a pitch pedal that will raise? Oh, I see, because you don't retune. I was asked about this the other day. It's the exact same thing. I don't really believe in this, like using pedals to change the pitch, but an Axe-Fx will do it. A Helix will do it. I retune. I don't even think about it. I'll just tune the guitar. Sorry, but I will, but I don't know. It's too artifacty, but there's a video of, I'm pretty sure there's a video of Dweezil Zappa playing Eruption through the Axe-Fx, and it's using the pitch shift down and algorithm. You can do it on an Axe-Fx. You can do it on a Helix. Obviously, these are boxes with, they're a little more than just a guitar pedal. They're, they got Shark processors in them and all that. And you need something that's pretty fast and high tech in order to do like chords, polyphonic. It's just really difficult to pitch shift a polyphonic thing and have it not sound, first of all, there's latency. And second of all, just not have it sound weird, because a distorted, guitar, well, I guess you put the pitch shifter before the distortion so that it's just, affecting the clean sound before it hits the overdrive. But I'm just not a fan, Won't the harmonics be completely different? You know, it kind of works. I mean, you know, Digitech for years, they've had this drop tune pedal, right? And that's what it does. You know, it can bring the guitar down, you know. Variax does it. You know, you can, but it's doing each individual string and note. You know, it's a different concept, kind of. My Roland guitar synth guitar thingy does it. It'll do baritone. You know, you can't preset the pitch. It'll just do baritone or, you know, standard. Daniel's suggesting the Digitech drop. But that's going the other direction. It's the only thing. Does the Digitech drop pedal go up? I think I have one here somewhere, but I'm not sure. Yeah, see, Zachary says it sounds weird using it. I always think it sounds like it kind of works. You're like, oh, wow, that kind of works. And you're like, but it doesn't quite. Arthur says he uses the drop tune live, but will use, you know, change the tuning for recordings. That's probably the best method. Well, we got 430 people online. Great to have all you guys here. Please hit the thumbs up, please, if you wouldn't mind. It helps spread the video far and wide across the interwebs. The pitchfork goes up, says, so there's one to check out. I've never looked that much into these because, number one, I have an Axe-Fx here. If I want to do it, I know it'll do it. And also there's an algorithm in the Helix that does it quite. I think that's what they made it for. It was a sort of polyphonic pitch shifting. So I know I can do it, but I don't do it. I just pick up a different guitar or tune the damn thing, you know. That's, yeah. Whammy DT will do it. Will it go up? I guess it will. You guys are saying it will. Okay, what else we got here? Nickel silver frets versus stainless. The age-old argument, thinking of change over stainless. My nickel frets seem to wear down within a year. Well, if it depends, you know, longevity, that's a year is fast, you know. Maybe you just really play a lot. And if it's on a vintage guitar or something that you're used to the sound of the nickel frets on, I hesitate to recommend stainless just because it can sound a little different, not necessarily even through an amp. I can't claim that that's true, but I can claim that most people will hear the sound be a little bit pingier, you know, when you, like acoustically. And so one guitar I had, Les Paul 57 historic ratio, and I changed the frets from nickel to stainless steel. That was the one where I was like, I mean, it felt great, but it just had this little ping to it afterwards, and I wasn't used to that from that guitar. I ended up selling the guitar, and I think the guy that I sold it to still has it, and never had a problem with it. Seemed to like it. Of course, he got the guitar like that, so he knew it like that way from the beginning. So that's the only thing. When you're changing them on a guitar you've already got, you might notice a little bit of a difference, a little ping, or a little rattle, a little something that, you know. But the trade-off being, and it's, you know, a positive trade-off, they're going to last forever. You know, you're going to have to play that thing for years and years and years to even see any indentation in the frets from, you know, what you would normally get with a nickel style fret. So generally speaking, on my vintage instruments, I leave them nickel. You know, even if I'm just going to do a refret, I don't think I'd go stainless like on my old Strat or 335 or something. No, so stick with the old school fret and make those guitar, you know. But on my signature guitar, it's jumbo stainless steel all the way on a modern guitar. Got no problem with that. So, yeah. Okay, what else have we got? Let's see. Looking for some crazy effects, crazy pitch stuff. What's out there better than the whammy? The whammy's legendary. Crazy pitch stuff. Well, we've been talking about the drop tune pedals and stuff. What else is out there? The Harmonist, or whatever it's called from Boss, the blue pedal, works really well. I like, you know, I like pitch stuff in the Eventide H9. You know, there's all kinds of fun stuff in there for that. Do you use a battery box? Says what wrong? I don't. I know that Josh Smith is the one guy I know that uses one of those battery boxes and quite likes it. But he's, you know, way into, you know, certain you know, vintage, you know, germanium fuzz stuff and things that can be affected by batteries or by, you know, using power. So he's one of the guys that have pretty sophisticated battery box with the, you know, where you can easily switch out the 9 volts, and they're all connected to his pedals on his pedal board. I don't know if he's still using it or not. I haven't talked to Josh for a while. I'd like to catch up with him again. It's been a minute. was like midway through the pandemic, that I think I was talking to him last. He's been out with Joe Bonamassa on tour. David says, still looking for that PT15 combo. Any thoughts or updates? I don't think it's going to happen, man. I don't think John likes doing combos. To be honest, I would like to do it, but he's just not a combo guy. It doesn't seem like, I wouldn't hold your breath, it's just, we've got the little 112 cab and we got the head, and that's kind of, the way it's going to be for that amp, I think. Now, that's not to say that I haven't worked with stuff on them recently with amps. I have. Man, we've got some smoking tones going recently. And so we're talking about, the next amp, and I have no idea when it would come to fruition as far as coming to market, but sooner rather than later, I would hope now, because we're both excited about it. And I just say I took an amp out there. We did some mods, we did some stuff, and we did some work, and we ended up with something that sounded so damn good. And so I have very clear-cut vision in my mind what I want now for the next, sort of iteration of my amp, with the company being a higher power amp than the 15. And so, I love my 15s and stuff, and it's awesome. I love that people have adopted it, and there's plenty of people that they're using it and stuff, and I love that. And now I'm just thinking towards 50 watts and maybe beyond for other amps, voicings and stuff. And it's going really good. It's going really good. PT30 says John, more like 50, 45, 50. That'll be the first thing, I think. That's what I think. Josh Smith is using the King Tone battery box now. Yeah, I don't know if that's what he was using when I talked to him about it, but he showed me. Maybe he helped design it or something. I don't really know, but it was really cool what he had. I think it was custom what he had at the time, but it worked really well. Yeah. Okay. What's your song learning process? Are you precise from start to finish, or do you learn it loose all the way through and tighten it up? I kind of learn it precise all the way through. And I go little bit by bit by bit. And I do it using the Phrase Trainer Transcribe. It's a program from a company called Seventh String. It's $50. It's a phrase trainer software, and you can use it on your computer and load MP3s or wave files or whatever into it. And then it shows up like a waveform. You can loop sections, so you can, rehearse a solo or something like that, and it'll keep going around and around. You can slow things down. You can change the pitch. You can, not just in half steps or whatever, but you can go in between tuning very accurately. You can EQ, you can remove the center channel like karaoke style, get rid of a solo, or you can focus in on things. It's got panning, so you can listen left or right. A really, really great program for learning music. So I tend to use Transcribe, and within the Transcribe software, I'll store in their proprietary kind of file format, I'll store songs. So like when I was learning all these Van Halen songs to play with Mitch Malloy last year at this gig, I made 22 little files for every song in Transcribe. And then if I wanted to loop a section, the solo, I could do that, and then I could store the loop. So the next time I open up, whatever the song would be, Everybody Wants Some or whatever, and I had the solo looped or whatever, it shows up there, and I can click on the loop, and then it plays it, and I can practice just that. It's very cool. It's a great program. So check out Transcribe from Seventh String. It's well worth it. I've got no connection with them. I bought it years ago, and I've been using it for forever. How often do you refret your guitars? Rarely, if ever. Rarely. Most of my guitars, my old Strat was refretted when I got it. It had small frets. Once again, I'm not really crazy about those, so I pulled those, had it refretted, been using it ever since. That was 2007. I play a lot of different guitars, and my stainless steel guitars never need refretting, basically, and then I'm always switching even my guitars with nickel frets. I'm not playing them that much because I'm always switching, Most of the guitars that I put most of the hours on have stainless steel frets, my signature model. That's the main thing. And the Strats right here, actually. This guitar, let me look at the frets on it. Yeah, it could use a fret rest. One of these days, I'd like to give this guitar to John, actually, and see if he'll You know, it's got pits on the second string, but it still sounds good. And it's funny. Sometimes you can get away with, them lasting a long, long, long time. I saw the guy actually that did Eric. I saw him yesterday. He's the guy that did these frets. These are 6105s. They actually don't look that bad. They're a little flat, but when I got this guitar, it came from Groomed in Nashville, and they'd refretted it, but they'd done it with a very vintage style wire, so I had those pulled. It's kind of a waste, really, because it had just been refretted. But the fingerboard, I would say this guitar has been refretted quite a bit because the fingerboard is quite thin on it now, and so refretting it is a bit of a, it's challenging, I think, because there ain't that much fingerboard left. So, I don't know if I would have it done again. I would probably just get a nice dress on these and just live with it as is, because once again, I would defer to Sir and see what he says. But the tangs, if you look at it's going to be too hard to see, right? Well, maybe it's not actually, but the tangs are right down to the neck, on the frets, and the board is quite thin. I would say it's been, look at it. It's been played, this guitar. I would say it's probably been refretted a couple times, and maybe when it was done, a couple times before I got it. Maybe when it was done, the board had been planed and that kind of thing. So it was definitely a player guitar. Somebody used that guitar a lot. I'd love to know the history of it, like who had it before me. But I guess that'll never happen. If guitars could only talk. I see a super chat. What's happening, Deshaun? What would be a better pedal, Nobles, ODR1, or Ibanez Tube Screamer? They're very different. They do the exact opposite thing. So a Nobles is a sort of a full range mid scooped overdrive, mid scoop, I guess, full bass. Some might think maybe even too much bass for certain amps. One thing I like about the Bell, which I have on my board from Wampler, is that it's a Noble circuit, but with a separate bass control, so you can kind of tame the bass a little bit. Whereas a Tube Screamer is a mid forward humped, with bass slop off. So you've got, I think of the Nobles as more like a rhythm pedal, or like an edge of breakup kind of, like, so if your amp is clean, you turn on the Nobles to get edge of breakup rhythm kind of tones. I don't think of it as a lead pedal, really. You could play a Nobles and then hit it with a Tube Screamer. That'll probably be actually pretty cool, using both. But I think there's a misconception that they're similar because they're both green, maybe. I don't know. They're not. They're pretty different. This fella right here says that he just bought a Shanks ODS1 waiting for it to come in. That is a version of the Nobles as well, I do believe. Is it not, folks? I think it is. I should ask John. I know him. Oops, Alan says I missed his super chat. Alan, I'm going to go find it. Alan, we're not going to let this slide. There you are. Longtime fan. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. I got a question. I have a 92 Ibanez Artist. Nice guitars. I was thinking changing the pickups. Got any suggestions? Is it the Artist with 2 humbuckers? Go Thorn buckers. You're going to love it. Trust me. If you want a nice set of PAFE, just humbuckers that sound great. Yeah, that would be, no, seriously. Honestly, that would be my suggestion. Unless you want to go like full 70s Ace Frehley or something, then go super distortion with a PAF in the neck. DiMarzio, There's 2 flavors. Or you can do the old JB and 59 combo. Hot bridge and PAFE neck. Hot mid-rangey bridge. But I would go Thornbuckers. That's my jam. Lauren says, Sir, PT50 Super Deluxe Ultra Stack. Absolutely. Do I remember rightly years ago that you were going to revamp the PT100 and turn the tubes up the other way? Well, that's eventually what you're going to see, yeah. You'll see a new, probably not too dissimilar from the look of the PT15. That style tubes up situation. That'll be a new version. Probably do 50 first, but maybe 50-100, we'll see. But this voicing, it's been a long time since I got together with Sir and did amp voicing, which is really fun. It's where we sit there with the chassis open and, tack parts in and out and listen, while I'm playing. And so the other day I went out there and I had an amp switcher so we could listen to a few different things, switch really on the fly, and do it at a low volume. We did it with a load reamp kind of setup. and so we could not kill our ears. That worked amazing. And we sat there, and I was like, okay, a little more of this. And I know a little bit more about amp circuits now. So like I can say, you know, let's look at the cap on the second, you know, the you know, output of the second stage, you know, and maybe shrink that, or you know, that kind of thing, and so that we can tune the bass of the amp and stuff like that, tune the gain sounds and stuff. And bright cap, let's try this bright cap, let's try that value, let's try this value. And I know a little more, so I can intelligently ask for a little more what I'm looking for, and it was really fun. So we had a great day of made some great progress last week, and I've got a really clear cut idea for what I want out of a next amp, you know, clean and dirty, you know, the whole 9 yards. So yeah. Heading down to the bottom of the chat. What time is it? It's 1:09. I'm going to go till, I got about another half hour here. Hang with you guys. Let's see. Any chance you'll do a video for the Boss GX100? What's the GX100? Is that, I know they've got their new, let me see here. New window. I know they've got their, you know, do it all sort of, you know, size of a Line 6 stomp pedal. That is really impressive. I know Dave Friedman really likes it. I don't know if that's what we're talking about or not, but we're going to take a look here. GX100 guitar multi-effects pedal. Oh, yeah, this one. I saw it. Yeah, this is a big step forward for them in the sort of the UI. I like that graphically you can see, you know, the colors and everything. I would love to do a video for it. They haven't asked me to. You know, they generally come along once or twice a year, and they're like, "Can you do a video for this or that?" And that's what it was like with the Space Echo. And I love doing the video for the new Space Echo pedal. But they haven't approached me about this one, although I would be totally down. It says, with up to 15 simultaneous effects blocks for amps, cabs, and effects, the GX100 offers a ton of potential for crafting your custom guitar tones. Does anybody out there have one? What do you guys think of them? What's happening with the GX100? Let's see. Are there any unloaded cabs that you're a fan of? Like that you can buy? I mean, I don't, you know, there's a number out there, like Mojo would be the first one that comes to mind that you can get. And I think their cabs are pretty popular. It's probably pretty nice. 212s, 412s. I think Mojo has a cab that's similar to our PT 15 212. Did I just close that page? Let me take a look and see what they've got. Generally speaking, I think their stuff is pretty highly regarded. I remember their website, mojotone.com. Custom amp cabinets. Look, they'll build you a custom cabinet. Oh, it says page not found. Maybe they won't. Guitar parts, pickups, speakers, accessories, cabinet shop. Yeah, I mean, they've got so many cabs on here. Vintage reproduction, Mojotone cabinets. Let's take a look at that. Let's see what the vintage reproduction Canyon. Oh my God, they've got a whole West Coast series, Canyon series, Heritage series, Imperial series. You know, I don't think anybody makes a bigger variety of cabinets than this. Hard to go wrong. You know, looks like the 412s horizontal. I would say this Twin Canyon 212 looks like a horizontal kind of 212 with piping. You can get a 412 from them. 212 Imperial slant and 212 Imperial straight. Okay, these little 212, these Imperials from Mojotone, that looks like kind of my jam. British sort of cabs. Well, I don't know if they actually make a straight or not, but they make a slant in a 212. And I'm going to assume it's a horizontal kind of affair with the speakers, you know, like that, sort of similar to my cab. Portable, perfect for smaller amp heads, modeling amps. Anyways, whole bunch of they're available from Mojo if you haven't looked at their website. Yeah, Zachary's saying cabinet makers are having a hard time right now. Apparently, prices for wood are still high. I thought it had stabilized a little bit, prices on wood, but I guess prices for everything are kind of high right now. Oh, Avatar, somebody's recommending. Cooper says he likes Mojo cabs. Yeah. Okay. This is a good question. Do you use both the same picks on acoustic and electric? So my main pick is this one, and this is live. I'll just stick with this. This is an Altex 73. It says PeteThorn.com on it. Like Ingve in his instruction video. I use Jim Dunlop 1.5 millimeter. It's got my name on it. Well, there you go. This is a great all-around pick. Part of what I like about the Altex, they last a long time. In the 73 gauge, they work well on acoustic and on electric. But given my druthers, whatever, what does that even mean? My druthers. Given a choice here, I'll record with, generally speaking, on acoustic, a nylon pick. And I sort of like the lighter. Like I like a 60, nylon 60. So like the gray nylon Dunlop pick. Those work really well. I find there's a little less pick noise with them. And the lighter you go on acoustic, if you're strumming, this is for strumming, rhythm guitar stuff, rhythm acoustic strumming. I find the lighter you go, the less. It's almost like there's a compressor built into the pick, or maybe it's just that the dynamic is softer when you're strumming through the strings. The pick gives a little more, you don't power the pick through the string as much. And that I find just evens out the sound more without compressing, even though I still use compression anyway. But it just has a little more of a natural sound where it's jumping around in volume a little less. So try the nylon, Dunlop, or, you could go with, I like the thin Claytons and different stuff too on acoustic, different picks, And electric, I usually just use these Altex, although occasionally I'll switch and use, like I think I was showing last week, still got it sitting here from when I showed it last week, but I'll pick these up in Japan. No pun intended. I'll pick these up in Japan. Ibanez Paul Gilbert signature picks that you can find, and they're kind of a pointy affair that has a very distinct, defined attack for fast stuff. So every now and then, if I'm tracking apart, I'll just grab one of these. I have a little box that I keep my underneath a whole bunch of other crap that's on my desk here. This one, throw it all away. I don't want all this stuff here. If you could see what it looks like, it's horrible. It's like this. It looks like my mind. It's my mind. It's disheveled. Anyways, you can see there's a whole variety of stuff in there. And I'll just look through there and find what I want when I'm tracking something else. It's good to have a few picks around to try different stuff. The nylon 60 is great for Eddie stuff. Actually, yeah, so you could see that I actually have some of those in here. And funny enough, when I did the Van Halen gig, when I learned all those songs and went and played with Mitch, this is what I used. They just felt right. And you break less strings because it's like this pick is soft and it powers, it's just worked good for the music. So when I was doing that, all I did was play Van Halen songs for like 2 months, and because I wanted to be good at it. And this was what I ended up using. And then, then I had to get used to my own pick again. Be like, oh, this feels different. This is an interesting one. These guys sent me these. I'm not a big wacky pick guy, like different types of picks, but look at this one. It's got you can't really see, but there's little ridges, can you see the ridges on the end there? See that? And so it's got a kind of a unique, they sent me these, and I think they're called chicken picks or something. Is that what these are? I don't know. I don't get into the, crazy picks thing too much. Oops. Dropped it. Where did that go? Uh-oh. You ever drop something on your pedal board and then it's like, oh no, now I'm never going to find that thing I just dropped on my pedal board. Dump it upside down and get it. I'll do that later. It was like a little USB stick or something. I'm like, what the hell? I don't even know why I took it out. Anyways, this was evidently Lyle Workman's pick. Can you see that? It doesn't focus. It's supposed to be this high definition web camera. I was taken. Is the quad cortex any good with the PS100? So you mean like using the quad cortex and then the PS100 power amp? Sure. I mean, I've never done it, but PS100 is a good flat tube power amp, and I've used the Matrix with the quad cortex with captures, and that works well. I'm sure it'll be a little tubier than what I was doing, but it's probably a good thing, you know. Matrix power amp works great for kind of a flat, you know, response, relatively flat response, reamp kind of power amp. So to, you know, for a modeler or for, you know, monoblock, obviously. But what speakers for a 212 to replace a disappointing FR experiment? Best set to optimize tone out of a quad cortex and power amp? Well, that's a relatively relevant question to the last comment I was making. For lots of amp models. So you want a regular guitar speaker, right? I hope I'm right about that. If you know, the thing about it, man, is a speaker is going to. Okay, you got a couple different routes you can go here. The one sort of modern wacky route would be to go the way of the Celestion full range speakers that go in any guitar cabinet. It's a full range speaker that's coax, but it looks like a guitar speaker. So in other words, there's a high frequency driver in the middle behind what would normally be where the dust cap is. And then so it's a full range speaker that you can mount in a guitar cabinet. I thought they sound pretty good, actually. FX 200, or I think they're called. I did a video on my channel you can watch for this Celestion. So you could try that in your cabinet. But barring that, I think you're talking about a regular guitar speaker. So, you know, you're still going to get the coloration of the speaker. And I'm a Celestion guy. You know, you want Fender AC30 Friedman Marshall. I would probably go G12H 75 Creamback. I think it's a great speaker. It's what I use in the horizontal 212 cabinet that we came out with for the PT100. It's real high power. By real high power, I mean it's 75 watts. So you know, a 212 will handle 150 watts. You know, if you're running stereos, you're gonna want to be careful not to turn. If you got a big solid state power amp or something, don't go crazy cranking it up. But you know, plenty of power for, you know, 50 watts a side or something like that. That speaker works well with cleans. It works well. It's not going to sound exactly like an AC30 or exactly like, because you know, so much of the sound of your different guitar amps, cabs paired with heads thing is the speaker. You know, Greenback, V30, Celestion Blue, and Evh. You know, each of those speakers, nothing sounds. You can't get one speaker that all of a sudden covers all those territories. You know, because it's like an EQ. Each speaker you can think of like an EQ. It's like you're adding an EQ on your sound every time you get a different speaker. So what you're looking for is, I need the one speaker that's overall sort of in the middle of all these things. It's hard to find, but I love the Creamback, you know, H75. See Ryan saying Scumbag M75, great speaker, decidedly Greenback. You know, it's not going to sound like a Blue with an AC30. Great speaker, but it's a Greenback. That's why I said the H75, because it's got a little more sparkly on the top and a little bit fuller on the base and a little less of the woody Greenback in the middle thing, you know, so it's a little more across the board, I think, you know. So when we're asking the impossible, which is one speaker that does it all, you know, it's, you know, so anyways, check that out and see what you think. Look at the specs of it and stuff. And what else we got here? Let's see here. EVM 12L says, you know, it's a great speaker, no doubt about it. Heavy as hell, you know, but they do their own thing. Okay. Looking here for other questions through all of the comments, etc. You guys are talking about guitar picks. Some people use 88. Some people use over 1 millimeter. This guy uses Dunlop flows. Yeah, so many different picks out there. It's true. Where do you get your signature picks made? I do mine through Dunlop, and I think anybody can do that. I think you can do a custom thing with them where they'll put print on your picks for you. There's lots of different companies that do it, but yeah, I'm hooked up with Dunlop, and I make videos for them and for their pedals and do all kinds of things with them, and they've always been good to me, and they're kind of the number one pick company in the world, I think. So I just stick with that. That's a good question. Do you find the matrix to be too much power? Do you have to be careful when running 65-watt speakers? I would be careful. Yeah. Matrix has a lot of power. I mean, it's 800 watts, 1,000 watts. That all varies, of course, if you're using 4, 8, 16 ohm cabinets. As you go to a 16 ohm, it's going to drop considerably in power. But yeah, I tend to, be conservative with the volumes and be cognizant of not pushing them up to, I don't want to I mean, I've never blown up a speaker with a matrix or with a solid state power amp, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't, they have, I'm a little we'd have to have a technical discussion with, an amp engineer that really understood what's going on with solid state power amps and damping and, all that kind of stuff, as opposed to tube power amps. I just don't understand. How can this be 1,000 watts? It doesn't sound like it's so much louder than a Marshall that's 100. You know what I mean? But supposedly that power is there in reserve, and we'd have to talk to a proper engineer and stuff to see. But yeah, I just say from a layman's perspective, when I'm plugging a matrix into, I did, like I say, when I did that Van Halen show with Mitch, I used my matrix that's supposedly 1,000 watts a channel into 3 Serve 412s that have greenbacks and V30s. They're like 200 and something watt cabinets or whatever, right? So yeah, I didn't turn up the volumes on 10 on the matrix. I had them up around 6 or something. And I was playing loud, but not wasn't obscene, So Ryan says, thanks for a great Sunday Guitar Geek chat. Yes, thank you, sir, for being here, and thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate your super chats. Please hit the thumbs up on the video, guys, if you don't mind. It'll spread it far and wide across the worldwide interwebs, and helps the channel. So I appreciate you guys being here. It's about 1:25. I'm gonna hang another 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna go get some lunch. Mine Eastern says, doesn't look like Dunlop has the custom picks option available. Really? I wonder if it's something that they don't do anymore, or they did for a while. I seem to remember it being something that, I'll have to ask my guy there about it. I thought you could order, custom runs for them, but maybe they've discontinued, that. I didn't think it was I seem to remember on their website or something, there was a link where you could, upload artwork and then get it printed on it. You have to buy a gross of picks for sure, but, that it was something that they did. Anyways, ever use a... Big Boss says, ever use a Marshall Studio 15? I've got a great memory of that amp from when it came out. It was a little 15-watt combo that looked like a baby JCM 800 with a 112 that was kind of like a rectangle, the way it was configured. It wasn't square. And it had 2 6v6 power amp. And people really liked them back in the day. I recently saw a video of, I think it was Michael Nielsen playing through one, and it didn't, to me, strike me as sounding that great in his video. And his videos sound really good. He's got a lot of nice sounding amps. So I was like, oh, maybe it's one of those things where my memory of it is, it's not as great as I thought it was, But it's probably an amp that, with most Marshalls, to be honest, I generally feel like these days I want to take it to a guy, one of the guys like Sir or Friedman and these guys that know about these things, and make a few tweaks. Because with a part here or a part there, I've discovered that generally I can get where I want to go. And this is what I was saying about voicing amps earlier. I've learned a lot more about the coupling cap out of the second stage. Can we shrink that to a blah, blah, blah? And then it has this big effect on the sound, or the different things that you can do, bright caps and, the JCM 800, the cold gain stage, and how to tune in these things that I've learned. It's not really that complicated, so yeah, long story short, Studio 15, fond memories. Didn't think it sounded great in Michael's video, but I bet you could get one and probably turn it into something pretty cool with a few mods. Amps are not that complicated, You know, generally speaking, you see these guys, they look in them and they go, okay, what's going on? Okay, oh, this is this. Well, let's try this. Change that one part. That's cool. You know, and within like an hour, you've turned it into something it's like a recipe, you know. Oh, there's too much pepper. There's too much, you know, cilantro. There's too much, you know, you tweak it, you know. What sounds good for lunch? Oh, I don't know. Let's see what's I'm going to get a soup and a sandwich, I think, and keep it pretty benign in a little bit here. Arthur says he doesn't think he's seen custom Dunlops in a few years. Maybe it was a pandemic thing. Maybe they just kind of like, I don't know. But I seem to remember when I have so many of these black picks with my name on them. Like I've got bags of them still around. Of, you know, the last time we did a run of them for my custom guitar, my signature guitar, where we would include them. And when they did them, they would just make more and then send me the overflow kind of, I think. And so I have so many, and I had a bunch from when I was playing with Chris Cornell. I still had a bunch of the kind of the yellow ones that were the original Ultecs, you know, and I still have bags of those around. So they just buy a lot, and then you end up with all these picks. I think I've got enough picks to last forever if I didn't want to change what I use. Occasionally Dunlop will send me some different ones that they're, you know, and that's where I get a lot of these. I have a drawer there in this, I've got a Craftsman tool thing there that you know, a tool chest, and there's a whole drawer of different picks and stuff in there too that I haven't even got to. That yeah, so I've got a variety here to try still. Yeah. Jeffrey says he got a reissue 410 Blues DeVille with Alnico Blues, and he loves it. That's awesome. It's good to get something you like, that you're satisfied with. Good stuff. Frank says Sir Classic Gas with guitar volume on 0, sound comes through bad pot. Yeah, I would say that there's something, you know, that there's an issue with the pot. You're probably going to want to replace it. Pots are problematic these days. You know, CTS, friggin' CTS. Drive me crazy, that company. Yeah. Super chat there from Eric. If you're willing, would you show how to make the transition to the solo in Panama? I think it's just what part is that? This guitar's totally out of tune. I tuned it in like a year. Isn't it like that or something? So isn't that what it is? So it's like C, but 9, you know, with one of those, you know, and then I think that's what it does, right? Something like that. It's been a minute. Oh, yeah. I love this show, says Julian. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't go yet. I'm not going to go yet. I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes at least. Thanks for sending me the link, says Christopher, to the TubeWorks stereo. I ended up with 2 TC Electronic Class D micro bass heads for a total of $350 new for my EVM 12L rig. That's a unique rig you've got there, my friend. But I like this. I like the spirit. In the spirit of assembling your own crazy rig like guitar players used to do. That's good stuff. Yes. Big Boss says that new Marshalls look like computers on the inside. They kind of do, with the ribbon cables and the connectors and the green boards. And yeah, they do. But they can sound pretty good. If they're tweaked, you can make them sound really good, the new ones. Yeah. Lauren says that he's got a Marshall that no one would like. Oh, that poor amp. Do you not even like it? Don't you feel bad for it? He's just like the kid at school in the corner of the playground that nobody wants to hang out with. What is it, a club and country? Is it a That's sad. We need to, Marshalls need love too, even like, Marshalls that nobody wants. So plug that thing in, hit it with a boost, and show it a little, just come on now. Thanks for the guitar geeking, says Open Lens. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. Isn't the Karma pedal close to the Nobles? Karma. I do believe I did a video for a pedal called Karma a little while ago. I'm not sure if it's like a Noble circuit or not. I don't remember that. Could be. Oh, yeah. It's coming back to me a little bit. Some of the neurons are firing up there in the old brain. I seem to remember. Big Boss says he's got a Marshall MOSFET Lead 100, my first good amp. I had one too. 410 cabinet and a little baby Marshall head. It's basically a JCM 800 2550, right? Like tube style, like Morello uses, except in a solid state, with all the tube stuff replaced with you know what I'm trying to say, solid state components. So, oh yeah, right. The Ibanez, this is why it wasn't quite added up. Karma is the Ibanez Mo-Stortion. That's right. MOSFET Mo-Stortion. MOSFET Marshall, we just talked about. Now we're talking about a Mo-Stortion. I like the themes today, how we're going from one to the other, Quad Cortex into power amps, and then it was like relevant questions, and now a Mo-Stortion, MOSFET Marshall. It's all tying in. It's good. It's good. It's good. My knees hurt is talking about pasta salad. And so he's way out there, but that's okay. You can talk about pasta salad. Pasta salad. That's cool. Do you have a treble bleed circuit in your guitars, or do you like having one? I do, generally speaking. I don't feel like I need them in certain guitars. For example, my Scala, it doesn't really need it. My Yaren doesn't need it. 50s wiring Les Pauls, don't feel like you need it really. But in my Serves, I love it. I love the cap resistor, whatever the formula they use is. Just is very I don't even think about it. It's just a very even roll down on the guitar. And to me, it sounds great. Whatever the formula they came up with years ago. It's a cap and a resistor, and it sounds great all the way down. So for me, good stuff. Yeah. 2205. That's the one. 2550. That's the Jubilee. You're right. So the 2205 or 2210 800 split channel is the Morello Mustaine. Dave Mustaine, really? I didn't know that he used that. That's interesting. And Michael Schenker, seen him using those. Yeah. So that amplifier is what I think the MOSFET 100 was kind of modeled on. They just replaced the tube stuff with MOSFET stuff. And that was my first good amp sometime around 85 or something. I think I got one with a 410. My mom bought it for me for Christmas. I was so stoked. It was like my first Marshall. I didn't even know, like tubes, solid state, whatever. I didn't care. It was a Marshall stack, little baby Marshall stack. And sounded good. I mean, I played gigs at my high school, my junior high, using that thing. It was cool. It was fine. I've often thought about buying another one. So you have one? Somebody said they have one. What do you think of it now? Like, is it cool? Pretty good. Yeah. Okay, what else? Thanks for the content and wisdom, says Stephen. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being here. Or is it Stefan or Stephen? Stefan, sorry. Do you prefer closed back or open back cabs? Generally speaking, I'm a closed back cab guy, but I do appreciate and like open back cabs. For example, in an AC30, it's the only way to go. A 410 basement, certainly. Fender combos. I love the sound. I love the spread of an open back cabinet on a stage is really nice. It's just that I'm a crunchy Marshall guy, and to get that sound, a big part of it is the closed back Marshall cabinet. So that said, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is actually use an open back on cleans, open back 212, something like that on for a cleaner sound or up to edge of breakup. I used to use my divided by 13. That's like an AC30 with an open back cab that had a blue and another speaker in it. And I'd mic the blue. Essentially, it's an AC30 sound. Use that for my clean, and then an AB over to closed back 412 Marshall style head for my, when I got into the dirties. And that worked great. So I appreciate them both. If I can only have one, it's going to be the closed cabinet, though. Yeah. Victor says the tapping. Are you the tapping lick on Jump? It is weird. I would have to go through and show you, but what I would recommend is getting transcribe and slowing it down and then listening to exactly what he's doing. It is weird because of I know what you mean, the descending, the way it's like you can play it a simple way, and a lot of people probably kind of fudge it, but it's not exactly what he did. And what he did is so weird. And that's part of his style. I don't know how to describe it. At the beginning, it's, going up the E string, it's normal, but then when it's the descending part, and what he actually does is really quite strange. I don't have time to show you right now, or a sound up or anything where you would be. It's not an effective, but it is a unique choice of notes, and it's something that you can find it online quite easily. And if I do this, I'll show you. Let's here. Just give me 2 seconds here. YouTube. Help out here with this. Isolated guitar jump solo. There it is. Okay, so there it is. Look how fast that is. You can get that these days. Imagine if we were kids and we could have done that, right? But of course, on YouTube, even without transcribe or anything, I can take this down to half speed. So let's listen again. There it is, clear as a bell. All you need to do is go through and listen to it like that. So find it on YouTube. Just search Eddie Van Halen jump solo isolated guitar. Let's listen one more time. You can put your phone up and record this if you want, and then you don't even need to find it on YouTube. There's only going to be so many ways you can play that, and so through experimentation, you will figure it out. Can you even hear that? I wonder if you guys say you can hear it or not. Let's see. Let's get back to dental, says Surfy. Cool. Preston Smith says cool. That must mean that you can hear it. It's a great lick, but it is really a weird, like the note combination going down. It's like, how did he do it? And then you'll figure it out, because it doesn't fall under the fingers immediately. Jumping in a bit late, Peter Evans says, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. Videos this week. Okay, so videos this week, once again, for those that joined late. I still got 395 of you online. Nice you to be here. This is the tilt pedal from Sean Tubbs and Rev. It's an overdrive and boost with a unique boost side that is, you can really tailor the boost, the low end, the mids. So that's really nice. And then has a nice Nashville-y sort of style overdrive side. So that video is, I'm just finishing editing it today, and I will get it out probably tomorrow. And the other one that's coming is for a really inexpensive guitar. It's a Guitar World review. They sent me this guitar to review, and I was like, at first I was like, what the hell is this thing? And it was because it was obviously a kind of an inexpensive guitar, but there was a problem with the first one. I sent it back. They sent me another one. It was fine. Nice, fresh strings, everything. I set it up, just a little tweak on the truss rod. I'm like, this guitar actually plays quite good and sounds pretty good. I wonder how much this guitar is. And I went and looked online, and it's $159. It's like the cheapest guitar that I've had in here. Probably like $159 for this guitar. And I'm doing a clickbaity kind of title or whatever. Like, can I make music on this guitar? Where I make a funny face and point at the guitar in the YouTube thumbnail, Gotta play the game, I guess. Anyways, it's pretty nice guitar for $160. I mean, like, you couldn't get a guitar like that when I was a kid. So, sorry, spoiler alert, but it's a decent guitar, and you'll see when you watch the video if you watch it. Kind of amazing what you can get these days if you're a student or beginner for a second guitar or something. It's like, yeah. Okay, so what else we got here? Will you review the new Maris delay? I would love to. I haven't really had any contact with the Maris folks over the last few years. I've done a video for the Reverb years ago, and I have a couple Maris products here. I have their 440 mic pre, and I'm just looking at my 500 series rack over here, and I have the Reverb, which is really awesome. I would actually love to have the stereoized, because I just have one side and it's mono, but it sounds amazing. It's like the Maris, it's called the Mercury 7, I think is the name of it. Really good sounding. They make it in a pedal too. Late, but here now. What do you guys do? You guys got to get here earlier. It's Brett. What's up, man? I'm not giving you crap. It's nice that you're here, even at the end. I'll stay for another few minutes since you're all here. I'll stay for another 10 minutes or so. We'll go over two hours. Niles, he says, thanks for sharing. You're awesome. Tacos. I love tacos. I might have tacos later today because why not? Tacos. Ooh, I had Mexican food last night. I should probably not eat tacos today, but I might anyway. I need to stop beating up my body and eat more salads. Salad for lunch, and then I can justify the tacos later. Sorry, you're hearing the inside voice of my head. Dropping Slowdowner is cheaper and does mostly the same thing, Scott Brockway says. Is that, or Amazing Slowdowner? Sorry, Dropping Slowdowner. How did I read that? Amazing Slowdowner. I like Transcribe. The Slowdowner, I don't, yeah, sure. Whatever, try, maybe there's a demo of each you can try. I just like Transcribe. It's what I've used for years. I bonded with it's $50. So how much is the other one? 12? I mean, I don't know. Like Bo Diddley said, in Philadelphia, it's worth $50. What's that from? Somebody, quick. Come on. Barry says, what would you say the difference from the SL67 and Badger 30 would be? Oh, quite a bit. The Badger 30 is sort of a Marshall-y version in the Badger line, but it's got the power scaling. It's cathode bias power amp. It's a little softer, a little midier, a little squishier, less, I would say, of that, plexi punch, zing, top end Van Halen thing, and a bit more. The Badger 30 is more Nashville, but in a Marshall-y vein. The SL67 is 50 watt plexi all the way, and especially if you want to have some fun with an SL67, put a 4700 bright cap on the volume. Simple mod. Now you're getting into angry plexi territory. Angry early 70s super lead or late 60s plexi. Good stuff. I'm a big fan of the bright cap these days. I'm all about it. For the ultimate versatility, it's nice to have a switch. You can take the bright cap off for sure. But these days, I'm a 4700 bright cap kind of guy. That's some nerdy stuff right there. Would love to hear your take on the Van Halen all-weight solo. Odd request, but even live versions I've heard don't capture the unique phrasing and voicing. It's such a good solo and such a great Van Halen song, actually. I love the melody. I love it. It should have been a bigger hit. It's such a great track. So let me think about the solo. It's so good. God, is it ever a great guitar solo? Eddie Van Halen was so far ahead of everybody else. When I think about that solo and how, oh man. You like that? I did the end. Do you like that part? Good stuff. Done Pete says, Barry, getting the SL67, appreciate it. Yeah, if you want the plexi thing, plus it's got the great master in there and all that, and 25, 50 watt switch basically is the Variac, half power kind of Van Halen. You're gonna love it. It's a great take on that style of amplifier. And if you wanted a really cool mod, you could do it on a push-pull pot, no bright cap or 4700. It's worth it. Like, just have somebody do, or just put if you want AC/DC to Van Halen, if you don't care about the cleaner stuff, you're like, I'm buying this amp to rock. You can still get, by the way, through Jumpering with the 4700 bright cap. If you, go into the normal channel or whatever, go into the bright channel and jumper, run the normal up to about 4. And now you've got that dark kind of normal, not a lot of gain, whatever, and kind of woofy sound. But then just bring in the treble channel on like 2. It'll sound killer like that too. It's just what you lose with the 4700 bright cap is it's going to be gnarly out of the gate on channel 1. And then it's going to sound thin. And, that thing like early 70s Marshalls, whatever, it's going to, and then you turn it up, and by the time it's on 4 or 5, it's like, oh, now we're getting somewhere. It's dirty the whole way, but because of course you're bypassing that, you're letting the treble go all the way through and down into the mids all the way through from the moment you crack the pot open. So it's like, wow, that sounds gnarly and thin, and it's dirty actually out of the gate. But then as you turn it up, you fill in the lows, and it just sounds badass by the time it's on 5 or 6. It's what we want a Marshall to sound like, right? So you get what I'm saying. By doing the normal channel, making that kind of the main part of the tone, and then just blending in a little bit of the treble channel and playing a Strat or something, you get great clean sounds that way, even with the big bright cap. I think it's the way to go. I'm all about it. So, have you played any more Laney amps lately? Not lately. I think I'm doing a video for a pedal of theirs, though. It's supposed to be on the way here, so I think I'll have that next week. Would you say hi to my 4-year-old Abigail? Abigail, what's up? 4 years old. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day with your pop. Okay, what else we got here? I guess I should go, right? There was a super chat there, I think. Did I miss this? Here we go. About a Laney VH100R. Andy Timmons played one live years ago. It sounded incredible. Laney's kind of an underrated amp company, maybe. The great, like I think I've told the story about the super group back in the day that I missed out on and went down to buy, and it had been sold 20 minutes earlier, and I didn't get it, and that always bummed me out. So I like Laney's, some of the little lamps did anybody see the 4-hole kind of plexi style 30 watt that they've got? That looked pretty cool. It came out a few years ago. It's supposed to be their kind of like, hey, what if we made a plexi sort of style that was affordable, or not necessarily affordable, sorry, lower volume, 30 watts. Still going to be loud, but look cool to me. I don't know in particular the VH100, but that's probably one of the ones with the silver panel and the chicken head knobs and the kind of like mid 2000s Laney, right? I would assume. So yeah. Did you see the video I did on Laney, the Music City? That was basically a Laney supergroup recently. Kind of a fun video that I got to do on the Matt Bruck own amp that he lent to me to make a video for. Love seeing you with CRS. That's Classic Rock Show in UK. You rocked Lagrange. What would be your favorite track? Thanks, Ian. My favorite thing to play with them. When I think about the last tour, it was really fun playing Thunderstruck by AC/DC on the first tour. That comes to mind. Really fun. Just super fun. And Jesse sang the crap out of it. It was great. We did Behind Blue Eyes on the last tour. That was always really fun. What else in the second set? Hot for Teacher was fun. Got to do that with them. That was always fun. Let me see. What else? That's what's coming to mind right now, although I know I'm missing stuff because there's other stuff that I had a lot of fun doing with them that I'm just not remembering right now. Cashmere is fun. It's really long. You sort of wish it was half the length, but the parts are really fun to play. At least as a guitar player, you're like, because it's a lot of it's the same thing over and over and over again. But it is fun to play, I must say. It's fun. Yeah, I can't think of any others right now, but anyway, there's a few. Let's see. I suppose I should go and get lunch, you guys. It's 1:51. Anything last questions here? Let's see. Here's your rock and roll guitar players in Alberta. I agree. Alberta, all you rockers. And Horst says he's going to play the Plexi at Tome, and you cranked up a few years ago. Is it really the same one? I don't know if it's the same one, because that was a Marshall-owned amp that I played, not actually at Tome, and I played it at Warwick in Germany. It was a Plexi, we just turned it on 10 and then had everybody play through it, and it was like stupid. And that became a very popular video on YouTube. It's such a silly video. I went to the Marshall display at at GitCon. It was held at the Warwick factory, and I said, "Can I borrow that amp for like an hour?" And I took their amp, and then I took it downstairs into a room and turned it on 10, and had everybody that was walking by just play through it. It was Mick and Dan from That Pedal Show helped me make the video, and we were all like little kids. They got totally into it. They were like, "I was like, will you guys help me make this video?" And they were like, "You're going to turn a Marshall on 10? Sure." And they were like there the whole time. It was really fun. I used their Zoom recorder, I think, to record the audio, and it's just one of those things that I knocked out in like 45 minutes, and then it became like I don't know how many views that video has on YouTube. Let's see here. Marshall on 10. Let's see. I think it did quite well. There it is. It has 1 million views. Wow. There you go. You can get 1 million views on YouTube by doing something totally ridiculous. But it must be. I think it's one of my biggest YouTube videos. Yeah. Oh, this is 1,051,000 views. There you go. Somebody else do it out there. Turn an AC30 on 10 and then make a video. Have your friends play through it. What pedal would you recommend for AC/DC sound? Whoops. I would recommend Friedman Small Box. Any good Marshall in a box. I mean, really, there's a bunch of them out there. The Revival Drive would be great. Their Marshall one. What else, you guys? AC/DC. I'm coming up short here on Marshall in a box pedals right now. I mean, even like a Riot Mini is a great sort of version of that sound. I think. I'm missing so many right now that I just can't think of Marshall in a box. I guess the Bogner Blue. That's a really good little Marshall in a box style pedal, or the Lagrange. It's got kind of the blend control between the normal and the plexi side. You guys are going to come up with a bunch of them here. Yeah, Bogner Blue Mini. I mean, that's great. Small box for sure. Yeah. Somebody was saying, I thought that was the metal panel you bought. No, the Marshall that I used to make that video that we were just referencing, the one on YouTube, it was just a run-of-the-mill SLP 100 that was at the Marshall booth at GetCon. And I borrowed it for an hour and then I brought it back to them. I didn't tell them that I just beat it up for like 2 hours or an hour or whatever, So, who knows who has that amp now? Marshall probably sold it, or maybe it's their demo amp or something. All right. I'm going to run, you guys. This was really fun, though. I'm going to double check this week. And if all goes as planned, next week, my guest will be Ian Thornley. So let's hope that happens. If he needs to reschedule or something, it might not be next week. So don't hold me to it just yet. But as long as he can confirm it by Wednesday or so, he suggested the date, actually. And so that looks pretty good, I think, for next Sunday. So I'll put up a watch page by middle of the week. And you guys can tune in and get all your big rec questions together and stuff like that. And I can't wait. It's going to be a hoot because he's a great dude and an amazing musician, songwriter, singer, the whole 9 yards. It should be a really good, fun couple hours of gabbing about guitar and music and all that good stuff. So tune in next week for Ian. And I will see you guys real soon. Thanks for all your super chats and thanks for watching. Please hit the thumbs up if you haven't. It helps spread the video around the internet and all that, the algorithm, so to speak. I'm going to go eat lunch and then finish up some YouTube videos and then I'm going to think about dinner. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Oh, happy birthday, Ben Coombs. Have a great one, man. Go get your pizza. All right. Over and out.